All right, everybody. I want to explain some very important things. Okay. I'm not going to deep dive on any aspect of it, but the good news is if you would like to deep dive on these types of topics, it's all over the internet now. And I suggest you deep dive on it on the internet before things become heavily censored. Of course, you can also get books on these topics. I don't have any book recommendations for you right now, but I will give you a few people. Alex Jones talks about what's really happening a lot, but he doesn't go too deep often because if he went too deep too often, he wouldn't be able to cover all of the mid and lower level things that are happening to us, which are also extremely relevant. Jay Dyer, you can find him on YouTube, I think at Jay's Analysis. That's JAYS Analysis. He has several channels, but I think that's his main channel. But there's really a lot of people talking about this stuff, but they usually go really, really, really deep in detail. Jay Dyer does that. He reads a lot of books. He reads old books, before books began being printed specifically to mislead us. So he'll go into the super deep details. He'll give you specific names, specific organizations, the theologies and ideologies behind these, the complete history of how it got there. Super interesting stuff. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go much more high level. I'm just going to tell you the way I view it using terminology that I have created. Okay. And the reason this is important, and I may say this again later, is because we typically have our own opinions, but we're not sure what everyone else thinks. Like, what does that person over there even know? Do they have any idea that there's corruption within the government? Even some people don't even know that. So some people assume that everyone they're talking to about their opinions on what's going on has the same information in their head that I have in mine. That's often not the case. In fact, if you do look really deep in all this stuff, you'll be kind of an outlier. You'll be less common. You'll know all this stuff and it will shape your opinion, and you'll talk to some guy who just watches football all day and you'll talk to him about it and he'll think you're crazy. It's not because you're crazy. It's because you know a lot of things that he hasn't looked into. So we have a lot of problems there when it comes to communicating with each other because we don't know what everyone thinks. Okay. But I do know some truths. And I think that if everyone knew these basic truths and looked into them, then we would have a chance of uniting against the evil that is enslaving us. Okay. So when I say satanic pedophiles, I mean actually satanic people who control all the money, control the banks, control all the corporations, control entire nations through their government. They put the nation in debt. They get their people in the government. They get their people as president or prime minister. They control the nation. The people still vote on little things like we want less taxes. We want to be able to carry knives. If you're in the UK, we want knives. Abortion, no abortion, gay marriage, no gay. You can vote on stuff like that. They don't care. They just care they have the power and they get to control the major things. So the satanic pedophiles own everything and control everything. So we are effectively enslaved by them, but they're not going to tell you that. And they're not going to make things so terrible that we all opt out of the system. They're trying to give us just enough to stay and get, hey guys, here's some football. Here's a World Cup. Here's a Super Bowl. Here's America's 250th birthday party with a UFC fight. Hey, you all own cars, right? Most of you own cars. That's pretty good. They want to keep you happy enough where we will not see what's happening, all of us, which is what we need to do, and then unite against them. They don't want that. And if that happened, we'd probably go into World War III immediately. In which case, we would need to all say no, put me in prison. I ain't going to war. Put me in prison, kill me. I guess that's what we'd have to do at that point. But at any rate, that's the satanic pedophiles. So for simplicity's sake, the satanic pedophiles control everything. They control all the money. They control the nations. They control the corporations, everything. They give them different names. Like Well, Amazon and Microsoft aren't the same thing. They're all controlled by the satanic pedophiles, okay? If it's publicly traded, the satanic pedophiles, that's theirs. They got it. They can control it one way or another. They'll make it happen. Okay, so that's important. That's the satanic pedophiles. Now, I'll sometimes say that guy's a satanic pedophile, but what I mean is it's just some guy in Congress who takes money from organizations controlled by the satanic pedophiles, therefore he does their will. So although he may be a pawn, maybe even an unknowing pawn, he doesn't know about any of this, he's on the satanic pedophiles team. So I say that for simplicity's sake, but that doesn't mean every single person in Congress is a satanic pedophile. Literally, they're not literally worshiping Satan or having sex with children, but they're on that team, even if they don't know it, which I think a lot of them don't. I think they deny everything that I'm saying. I think they deny the reality of the situation. Okay, that's important to understand. That's because that's the main boss, right? You got to know who the main boss is. That's the main boss. If the satanic pedophiles that controlled everything died, everything would change. I don't know if it'd get better or worse necessarily, but there'd be a new power structure and hopefully we'd be able to fix things, but whatever. That's the main boss. Now let's look at our government. Now there's a guy named Adolf Hitler who we were told never to listen to or were racist and evil. And he was evil. He did evil things. But that doesn't mean everything he said was wrong, okay? So it helps to listen to people, even if they're evil. Listen to people from the past because they may be onto something. So we have the Republican versus Democrat dynamic, okay? And my whole life, it was like, I'm a Republican and Democrats are terrible. They're ruining the country. And I'm a Democrat and Republicans are terrible. They're ruining the country. That's the dynamic. You're going to pick a team and they're going to fight for you, right? That's what people thought for a long time. That's not what's been happening. So get this into your head. Put this into your brain. Let it soak in, okay? I'm going to keep it real simple. The Republicans and the Democrats are the same thing. We call that a UniPARTY. Uni meaning one party. They're one party. They put on a show for you. They argue with each other. They use the left-right thing. Oh, you're just a bunch of homosexual baby killers. Oh, you're just a bunch of fascist Nazis who want to take away our rights to abort children. They put on the show and they argue these social stances that, as I said earlier, the satanic pedophiles don't really care that much about, right? Y'all fight back and forth. We'll make sure nothing crazy happens that we really don't want to change, but y'all fight back and forth. And that creates an illusion that you have a team and you're supporting them really hard. You're fighting for them. You're going to rallies. You're sharing their Facebook posts and you're hating on the other side. So you feel like you're winning. Sometimes you're losing. Oh, we got to get the Republicans to win again so we can get the power back and fix some stuff. And then your team wins and they fix a couple of things that keep going back and forth, right? I go, oh, abortion is illegal. Well, then the Democrats win. Oh, it's illegal. And then the Republicans win. Oh, it's illegal with this change. And nothing's really changing. We're bouncing these little social issues back and forth like a volleyball, okay? Ultimately, the Uniparty protects the satanic pedophiles. They're going to side with the satanic pedophiles every single time. They'll give us these little, depending on who's in power, they're giving us this little thing, this little thing, this little thing. Okay, so are there any real differences with how America would look if the Republicans won for 50, if they had complete power for 50 years, or if the Democrats had complete power for 50 years? Would it be different? Well, yeah, it'd be different. The Republicans call that Jewish Zionism. They're Zionists. They want constant wars in the Middle East. They want to build up greater Israel. They want to merge our military with Israel. And then we just go out and die for Israel. And Israel's the foundation of power for the satanic pedophiles, who also control other countries, but they have their own agenda. The Democrats represent the Jewish communists. So America would look very communist. We'd have hate crimes, we'd have thought crimes, like that woman who was silently praying outside of an abortion clinic, and the police said, "What were you doing?" "I was praying." Well, she went to jail, right? So you're choosing between Jewish Zionism and Jewish communism. Neither one of those is a reflection of a Christian nation. Neither one of those is a reflection of Americanism. Okay. Those aren't constitutional republics. Those are both empires of some sort. So when you're arguing for or against a party, for the Republican Party or for the Democrat Party, that's the wrong play. Neither one of them are on your team. They're on the same team. They're both your enemy. You must understand that. They're both a major problem for us. Now, you can argue social issues. You can argue, I want to make abortion completely illegal because it's killing a kid. And the other person you're arguing with can say, I'm voting for free abortion because women have a right to choose and we deserve monetary compensation for, or whatever their argument is. You can argue those things, but don't attach it to the party. The party doesn't care. They're the same thing. Okay. So stop trying to fight this party, that party. That's the game. They want you to think that the other party is your problem, your major enemy, your main enemy. The main enemy is above those parties. Those parties are a uniparty. They're the same thing. They're one party that's completely controlled by the satanic pedophiles. You must aim higher. You must aim above the parties and point your crosshairs directly at the satanic pedophiles, right there between the eyes, okay? So that's the dynamic that I want you to digest, think about, understand. If you don't believe me, just look into this stuff. Look into, where they get their money. There's a famous Hillary Clinton quote, "Follow the money." I don't know why she said that, because if you follow the money with Hillary Clinton, she's in trouble. But she said it. So follow the money. Where are these people getting their money? They didn't get it from a satanic pedophile. They got it from a super PAC, just an organization that gets together and votes for interests for these people. What is that super PAC? Look into it. Who owns it? Who funds it? Okay, who's that person? What has he done? You follow these lines, and it all goes back up to the satanic pedophiles. So you might ask yourself, well, since it seems like we're screwed, what do we do? Well, I don't have the answer, but I have an answer. I think it's extremely important. I think it would go a long way if we all band together and ended taxation. No more tax. Government, you don't get any more money. No more wasting our money. No more funding the military to $1 trillion a year so you can go fight wars for different countries to siphon our money, get our citizens killed, and then launder that money back to yourselves and then rebuild it with contracts from companies you own, your cousin owns, whatever. It's all a scam, all money laundering. All taxation eventually leads to a scam. They don't need our money. They can use inflation if they need money, right? They can print more money, as they say. It's just a giant money laundering scheme. Paying taxes is a scam. It's killing us. They're not going to stop. They're not going to willingly stop. They will only ever say, you know what? Y'all are paying too much taxes. No more tax on tips. There you go. It helped y'all out. No. They're never going to say, you know what? The government sucks. They're wasting your money. Their fraud is rampant, like hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud every year. We're giving money to these organizations that don't do anything. They funnel the money back to politicians or back to foreign billionaires. No more money, no more taxing, no more taxation. We're done with it. When we work, we get the money, we keep the money, and we can do with that money what we want. We can start a business, we can donate it, we can improve our neighborhood, improve our city, whatever. But the government cannot spend our money properly. They don't want to. They're actually doing the worst possible things with our money because if you remember at the beginning, the people that control our money are literal satanic pedophiles. It's not going to end well for you if you have to keep giving them 40 to 50% of your income every year. Americans work A middle-class America, on average, works like 3 to 4 months a year just to give that money to the government. And you wonder why everyone's complaining about the economy. I don't have any money. I can't afford a house. If my car breaks down, I'm screwed. I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to go into debt. How am I going to fix this? End taxation. End all of it. Things will become affordable pretty quickly because they're not going to say, well, we're not going to budge on the prices. People talk about, well, if we don't pay taxes, what about Medicare? Well, if the reason why healthcare costs so much is because Medicare throws infinite money at it. If Medicare doesn't exist and the hospitals want to keep making money, prices will come down. We no longer have infinite Medicare money that's being sapped from our neighbors who are doing decently in life. Okay. That's wrong in itself to do that. So do understand, as a quick recap, Satanic pedophiles control everything. They control corporations, nations, the money system we use. The Satanic pedophiles control our government, both parties. It's a uniparty. The red and the blue are the same thing. They just put on different uniforms so you'll think they're enemies, okay? It's not red. They look like they're red and blue, but it's just one. It's just one black, tar, sulfur-smelling, disgusting satanic party. That's all they really are. So remember that. Satanic pedophiles control everything. They control our government, and our government is one party. There's just one party. Don't vote for the people that repeat the Republican talking points. Don't vote for the Democrats who repeat the Democrat talking points. Only vote for people who say, hey, our government is a uniparty. Neither party is on your team. They work together. They'll never put each other in prison. Trump could have put at least 100 people in prison by now. Legitimately corrupt people who broke many laws and did very terrible things. He won't even put Fauci in prison. He won't do anything because they're all on the same team. They act like they're going to go after each other. And if they ever do, it's just a sacrificial lamb. Oh yeah, that guy, he's been acting up lately and we got him on a few crimes. Let's put him in prison. And then the Americans will say, oh, they're doing it. They're arresting the corrupt politicians. So if they do that, it's just a scapegoat. Oh, look, sacrificial lamb. So I think it's really important for everyone to understand that, because if we don't all understand that, we will never unite on anything. And as citizens, the only way we'll ever have any power is if we all have the same point of view on something and tell the government we all want that. And when I say all, I don't mean 100%. I mean, if 55% of the country knew what I knew, saw things the way I saw things, we could change stuff. We could end taxation. We'd make them freak out. They'd try to start a war. We'd say, no, we ain't going. Put us in prison. Not doing it. And then they would abandon America, and then they would start attacking us, and they would bankrupt our civilization. But then at the end of the day, we'd be done with them. Okay? I'm not saying it would be easy, but right now we are just on a slow, with the Republicans, we're on a slow track to fully enslaved. With Democrats, we're on a faster track. But either way, we're on a track to being fully enslaved. Cameras everywhere, speech laws. We'll eventually try to take our guns away as soon as possible. I promise you that. This cannot happen. This cannot keep going the way it's going. I don't even want to talk about this, but it's the most important thing to talk about. If we don't fix this situation, not only are we screwed, your retirement will be a dystopian hell, but your children, their whole lives are going to be screwed. I don't know if you have children or not. I'm not sure who's watching this, but just care about other people a little bit, even if you don't care about your own life, even if you're saying, you know what, I don't care if I'm a slave as long as I get nice, I can watch the Cowboys on Sunday and go to the bar every now and then. I don't care if they enslaved me. Please care about other people a little bit, just a little bit. That's all we're asking. I don't know if I kept that simple enough. I definitely tried to keep it simple, tried to keep it very rudimentary. I can't it's hard when you're so inundated with it, when you understand what's happening, it's hard to know how other people perceive what you're saying because some people have no idea. Like, not even, they're stuck in the 90s. They still think everything's just Republicans, Democrats. Oh, it happens. We always bounce back. It'll be fine. So I don't know. I don't know how people are going to receive this message. But if only one person, this is a very cliche thing to say, but if I only changed one mind, it was all worth it, right? Because I really don't know what else to do other than just tell people about this stuff, hope that they care enough to look into it, confirm it, and then come to the conclusion that our government, the parties in our government are one party, tricking us into believing they are two parties, and that one party is controlled by literal satanic pedophiles. Satanic pedophiles. Just spend some time. Spend some time thinking about people who steal children and babies and rape them and scare them for fun and drink their blood. I mean, if they'll do that, if they will do that, do you think they value human life at all? Do you think they care what happens to you? Or do you think they would even hesitate to do another pandemic this time that actually is deadly? It kills half of us, and they replace your jobs with robots, and they're like, hey, we did it. Cool. We cut down the population. They're no threat to us anymore. They're all on welfare now because we replaced these jobs with robots. We're in control. They're slaves. Now we can make whatever laws we want. Nothing they can do about it. At this point, you cannot say, well, they wouldn't do that. No one would do that. We've seen enough. We saw COVID. We saw all the lies. We know they made the virus and released it on purpose. We know they've been planning it for years before that. I think decades, actually. We know that they orchestrated 9/11, the satanic pedophiles. We know that that they're selling our properties to foreign nations like China and Israel. We know they launder money. We know it's all a scam. We know about the Epstein list. We know that they are literally satanic pedophiles. At this point, you cannot, if you have a functional brain, say they wouldn't enslave us. They wouldn't take away our rights. They wouldn't do this. They wouldn't release a deadly virus that kills half of us and replace us with robots and fully enslave us. You can't say that anymore. If you do, you're just being disingenuous, or you're extremely naive, or you're just fully ignorant. I hope I did my due diligence. I was also thinking of one other thing. Just a question. It popped in my head while I was driving. Okay, so it has to do with sodomy. Sodomy. I think everyone knows what sodomy is. If you don't know, it is when a penis goes into an anus intentionally. That's sodomy, okay? So it has to do with sodomy, okay? So I can understand, I can wrap my head around someone saying, yeah, I want to put my penis in that man's anus, and he wants me to put my penis into his anus. We both want this. I understand that. It'd probably be fun, exciting, feel good, whatever. Well, I understand that reasoning, but I can't, my brain cannot come to a conclusion where you would say that's what you're supposed to do. See what I'm saying? If it's, I want to, okay, can't argue with that. As weird as I might think it is, some people get, they tattoo their eyeballs and they go blind. They wanted to. I can't argue with that. But supposed to put the penis in the butt, like that's what it's for. I can't figure that one out. But I know some people argue that. Like, yeah, I'm supposed to do that. That's what I was born to do that. I don't understand that line of thinking. That was just a random thought that popped in my head. I'm not sure why I was thinking about sodomy. I listen to a lot of sermons and theology and stuff, and sodomy comes up every now and then. And I have a very wandering mind. My mind, that's why I can't really learn things very well, because I'm thinking about, if I'm reading a 10-page book, just 10 pages of a book, page 1, I read, I'm reading through it. I see something very interesting, and I keep reading, but every now and then my brain goes back to that one thing that was interesting. And then 3 pages later, something else interesting. And then it keeps happening. And then after I read 10 pages, I'm like, I'm not sure what all I read, but I remember 3 things I thought were interesting and I can't get them out of my head. So I'm not good at learning because of that. I guess that's an ADD of some sort. But yeah, that's what my brain does. It wanders around. So when I hear a sermon about sodomy, I start thinking, man, sodomy is weird. That, some people think they're supposed to do. They think that's natural. How could they think that? I don't know. I don't understand how they could come to that. If they're extremely unintelligent, like a 60 IQ or something, like they're from Somalia, I could see them coming to the conclusion of, I want to do it and it feels good, so that must be what it's for. I could see that. But if you have like an average intelligence, you do know that feces comes out of the anus and urine comes out of the penis. So obviously you're not supposed to put those together. I think that makes sense, right? Maybe it's a bad point. Sometimes I make bad points, but I make good ones too. Y'all be good.